The way how it works is like in the code point of view, it is referencing one of the C++ code. So this, I mean, I did not make this change. It was an existing code. So there is no change in this area at all because it's being referenced as some sort of a com decom communications. Like the DLL is being referenced um, based on those C++ DLLs. They expose a few methods like how to connect to sync server. So basically this connect, disconnect, and then yeah. So this file, there is no change at all. Let's assume that there won't be any change. Yeah, because like if change, if there is going to be some sort of a changes, then the original sync server code is a part of call master. Call master. We need to make a change in that and find out, each method and change there, and then re-import those DLLs as a part of an extern, and then get it compiled. I'm hoping that's not going to happen because it never happened in the last few years. So 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 the
What is this sync server used for? Uh,
Sure, yeah. So the sync server is basically with HVA, we wanted to send some CTI data, like call related dynamic data. Let's say there are 10 agents. Out of 10 agents, they place the call. The placing the call itself, it can be through hammer or soft phone or or the real phone or whatever. So the call comes, and we wanted to send some set of data, like let's say who called, how long the call was. Some customer like Wells Fargo, they have some user defined data. Um, Let me show you some of those user defined data, and they wanted to reconcile it. After the call is being placed, they wanted to make sure that the call is really went to that particular agent, and then he was able to send some CTI data. So let me.
Also the idea is that, let's say we have a calling side of the test and we have the answering side of the test and we have HVA simulating the agent console for the answering side of the test, right?
Right.
And they want to have some uh, data from the answering side on the calling side, and they don't have any direct connection between A side and B side of the test. So on the calling script, the sync server is some component to like you to where you could asynchronously send some data from the receiving side to be asynchronously again read by the calling side of the script whenever they need it. So it's like I don't know some shared resource to where like say database even or something that repository to where the answering side posts the data, like Sankar said, the CTI data of the agent, let's say, specific to this particular agent, to this particular call. And the A side actually accesses that with some call master commands, let's say, like read data from the sync server. And from there, they can process those data, they can put it to some report. And so that's how that sync server is utilized, some like shared resource between A and B side in the middle to where like B side posts the data, whatever Sankar is about to say, and those data can be retrieved, all or some of them, depending on the setting on that call master script based on some key. So not to take each and the entire content, but some particular data with some commonly kind of mutual not known key with that both A and B sides know, so the A side knew what to retrieve. Okay, and sorry for
Correct.
interruption. It's in
Yeah,
general.
correct, correct.
Mhm,
Uh-huh. Yeah. So basically the
mhm.
key could be, the calling number, or the key could be the receiving number. So somehow the customers, every customers, they have their own set of requirement. So for example, this Wells Fargo, they define all this data like, the ECDA. They start with the ECDA, and they can define, if you can go through it, like, the skill set of these agents, the destinations, um, the dial number. I mean, this would make sense for them only. For us, we probably not going to understand. But if they define this as a part of a Genesis backend, when they set up their agents, as an admin, they can define all this user defined data. So so like Vladimir explained, the calling side and the receiving side, once the call is once the call is like finished or dropped, I mean, the dropping can be from receiving side and, yeah, and the placing side. I mean, it is all depending on call behavior script. However, they wanted to end the call, it is fine. But if the call ends, they can pick and choose pick and choose some of the data element here, and that data will be sent from HVA to sync server. Now, that sync server communication that I was talking about, how HVA is able to talk to sync server, that is through these DL methods. Once this is all this are in place, we also have to do one more step, to make sure that the because like what happens in real time, the HVA is installed in one server, and the call master may be installed in some other machine. So what how HVA is going to talk to call master is through that ASP communication. So what they have to do is, there is a predefined step. Um, Let me open up that document. In that, actually, they talk about like how to set up sync server on the call master server. So let me open that document. Yeah, this is the one. There are I mean, there are some documents I can forward to you. They define like what a sync server is in HVA point of view, and then like for example here, what are the how the data from HVA to call master is in the form of XML format. It- okay. So this is some of the examples. In this, if you look at it, the first example part, HVA is only sending. Um, so this is a generic the schema. Now let's put, if in a real example, it could be something like we wanted to send address, or we wanted to send some login ID. You know, so like that. So this is the overall high level thing that they forwarded to me. It is a part of the document. So basically, this is HVA, and HVA is going to do when I say ASP, it is basically going to be an HTTP post. So via HTTP post, HVA basically pushes the data to sync server. This is the main component, the amsadmin.exe. Um, this is actually part of a call master project. It's a C++ application, and whenever we install like a call master server, this component gets installed. And a little bit of configuration needs to be done on the call master side. Basically, they have to connect the right hammer with this call master with this like sync server exe. Once that connectivity between hammer and sync server is done, then basically they can then whatever data the HVA sends, the sync server exe should be able to listen to it and get the data. And after getting the data, like Vladimir explained, they can use it however they want it. They can generate reports, put it in a database, or they can kind of find out like I've set up to place a call for 100 agents. How many of them have received the call, and how many of them really successfully able to send the data to sync server and all that. So that is, really that's what they wanted to do it. So yeah. So this setups, all that is documented in this document. Okay, there's one more document where it will kind of tell us like how to configure that sync server URL, the ASP URL in the call master server. So it's again straightforward. This ASP file, we can find it in the we can find it in the uh, I think it is a part of HVA project itself. So yeah, so all we have to do is we have to create a website and then host this ASP file as a part of an IIS. To host it as a part of IIS, this is an ASP application. So there are certain configurations, like we need to make it like a 32-bit applications and so on. Okay, so once we follow this document, let's assume that the ASP web page is hosted. Now it is accessible. So the first step, what we have to do is in HVA, we need to put that URL and then save it and then click test connection. Once we do this, we should get an error message saying that test connection is successful. Then we can clearly say that so the connectivity between sync server and the HVA is now established. Now the next comes what kind of a data we wanted to send and what format we wanted to send, like TTMF, call variable, and literal, and do not. So do not is we don't want to send the data at all. That's going to be the one of the case. But in other three cases, in TTMF, there is no key. We blindly send whatever the data we added here. Like right now, it is only call variable 1, 2, 3. If none of them are added, it will send the HVA will send all the CTA data to the sync server. Now in call variable here, this is mostly used scenario. So here we need to have a key. So this call variable one could be like it's an example here, but in reality it could be like Annie, DNIS, or it could be one of those useful key. On this, for every agent, because for every agent the Annie will be different, or DNIS will be different, or it should be like some unique number to identify the agent, each agent. So yeah, so that will be the key, and this will be the data. If we wanted to pick and choose, we can add the data. If we don't add anything, it will send all the data. And same thing here, literal. The call variable case, we will have a dynamic key. So when we say it will be unique per agent. In case of literal, I don't care about key. I just wanted to send all the sync data to just this hard-coded key. Let's say they can put whatever they want. It's a literal word. So the key for all the agent will remain same. Only the data will be different. So yeah, so this, if we, it's basically the, if basically like if we go through the code or if we go through the UI, it's basically straightforward. So now let me, I set up one VM actually. I can show you here how that, that sync server is set up in the IIS. Once it's set up, so it's really straightforward, very simple. Like if you follow the document, we'll just create a new website and then connect to this ASP file, this web config. Web config is, I think it is generated automatically because it's an IIS concept. So that's it. Like once we do this, that settings at the app pool level, we need to do the settings. Basically in the advanced settings, we wanted to set, this is very important because it's a 32-bit application. This has to be true. Yeah. Rest we don't care, but this one has to be true, and it's captured in that document. So, and then after creating the website, we use this web app pool for this 32-bit application. Okay. So to make sure that even after this configuration is done, to make sure that it is working fine, we just wanted to browse this one, and it should say send zero name value name value pair key to none. So basically, if we get this text, it means this website is successfully hosted and now it is ready for a connectivity. So this is the URL that we have to copy, and then we'll go here and then, yeah, we just paste it here. And then when I click test connection, it should say test connection successful. OK. So there is a little bit of a configuration that I was talking about in the call master side. What we have to do is here we should start. This is that call master server. The call master server needs to be started. After that, we want to make sure that the sync server tab, we need to add that hammer label like or probe or whatever we wanted to call. We wanted to configure this, and we can also edit this and we can set some log. So most of the time what happens, like, even though I created ASP, I created sync server, I started sync server, I started hammer, still data are not coming through. So in that case, we can, enable this log, and then we can kind of let me show you that log. OK, so here that log is going to look like this. The sync server side log. This is all in the hammer, the call master hammer side. So for example, this is how we would get. Here it will say received and sent.
Where this log file is located?
This log file we can generally it goes into a call master log folder. But if you wanted to have it on your path, we can configure it here. Let me show you here. Yeah. So I think here, not here. So let me. I think that got closed. So the call master server, if you run here, like, we let's say if it is blank, we should say add, and then this hammer label comes in here. So now here, if you wanted to edit and change it, right here, right now I put my own path like a C logs, h audit.txt, right? We can name it whatever we wanted, but always the sync server is going to run on this port 2001. It is not in our control. It is a part of a source code. So yeah, we can set the service type as a manual, automatic, disabled. Yeah, the main thing is the lock. So Vladimir, you got it right. We can set it anywhere we want it. If we don't give the path, if we don't override this path, it will default to the call master lock path, lock folder. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so here, so we are, yeah, so we are here. So yeah, so what I was saying is, yeah, when HVA sends it successfully, we should get an entry like this. So what does this mean is like HVA is sending some data under the key name of MySync key, and then this is a send. Now, if we see receive in this log, that means we are successfully running some sort of a call master project or some sort of a cloud script to basically read those sync server data and put it into like a database file or whatever. OK, so when we say receive, that means we have a receiving side setup. Receiving side script is actually set up and it is able to read successfully. And the send means we are able to successfully send the data from HVA to sync server. So let me show you a like quick. So right now we'll see 191 is the last entry. Now, now let me go and click the test connection. When it becomes success, and then we should get in a we should get in a new entry of the same type, so 192, so now, yeah, so this is how basically we can actually check and confirm it that HVA is able to send the data to call master. Now beyond this, there are so many other steps that is more specific to call master and generating report and how to access that report from cloud platform and all that is not a part of HVA. But yeah, you will get to know once it goes to a real customer and all that stuff. For HVA point of view,
Okay,
Yeah,
the sync server not only for HVA, it serves other purpose also, correct?
correct,
Like for
correct. Yeah,
you said reporting and all. Okay, so basically
right.
it's work only with call master, or it works for Hammer IP also, like using a
It will.
test builder.
Yeah, it will work with Hammer. I mean, to make it I mean, if you wanted to the sync server to work, we at least need call master server component and the Hammer.
Okay.
Yeah, these two should be installed, and then this ASP page also we can only configure it in the server where call master is installed, or let's say no, if I wanted to put this website into somewhere else, it's fine. Still, this ASP page should be able to access to that sync server exe. So yeah, so that's the thing. If you
So
open up this,
basically this ASP page is only for HVA, correct? To interlink with to that
cor-
sync
correct,
server.
yeah. Correct, correct. Yeah. This ASP page is used only for HV point of view. There are other component like a hammer worm and other component also. They send data to sync server, but they use different logic. Yeah. Yeah. So if you get a chance to open this ASP file, it is nothing but like it is basically using that com decom approach, and it is basically instantiating that that sync server exe, and it creates the communication over HTTP between HVA and sync server. Yeah. So let's say, and then other than that, I mean, I created with help of Prasad to place the call and all that. So for example, like we can go here. He already created a channels for me um, for those three extension. So these are all three extension that I'm agent IDs like 12,001 2. So now we can go here. There is a calls P project as well, the Hammer project as well, and then here the call master project, which is going to basically read those data. Okay, and there is one more. Let me not this one. Yeah, the test builder. Right from here we can actually place the call. Okay, so okay. Vladimir will be able to explain this in great depth, but overall, Hammer is not the only way we can place the call to agent. We can also place the call through phone and soft phone and all that. But this is the more common use case in the customer production environment. Via Hammer only they will place the call. So let me place the call. So here I'm going to send these four data pieces. So in the call master side, there is a standard project available. So what we have to do is like we can use it as a call master script, or we can also use it as a script. In the script, like ultimately these icons values are going to be there. So here this enable sync is needed. That is the first thing to basically you know this is the first icon. After
So
that
is this a default script?
yeah, it's a default script. Like if you open up any call master, this is one of the standard project.
So
This
what
is
is
pretty
that script name?
HVA underscore sync. Basically you can say CTI synchronization. It will be called CTI synchronization.
Okay.
Yeah, but the one I created for demo purpose is like bare minimum. It is only going to, it just simply reads the data. But in reality, it can be much more complicated. This project itself can get more complicated, and they will read the data and they do some more action and it goes on. But in this demo, but again, it is not our, I mean, every customer will have the good knowledge on creating these scripts and what to do with their data and all that. We probably don't have to, as a part of HVA, we don't have to worry about it. But as a part of like a Hammer and Call Master, yes, these scripts will be created by PSO team and it will be given to the customer. So yeah. So here receive key right now I hard coded it is only 12,001. So if I have a, like a, if I may not be able to receive the data from agent 12,000 and 12,002. Okay, so any data which is any agent data which the agent ID is 12,001, this project will read the data. And what all data we are going to read is only this much. We are reading 4 data field like this DNIS call ID and call UUID. I mean, yeah. So let's run this. So I'm going to, we have 3 channel and let's make sure that whenever we run this call master project, we wanted to run it in a channel which is not used for calling or receiving. We should use some of the unused channel. Otherwise, it basically locks up the hammer and call master. So that is something, wanted to remember. So
So,
here,
so
okay.
this
So
should run parallelly. I mean, suppose you run where we should run this in side A or side B, or both we need to run this one.
the call master script, sorry, the channel configuration will basically tell us, and here like
No, this is whatever you're showing is a side A or side B.
both like the okay, so right here, yeah, this is A calls B, yeah,
Okay.
both
But
caller side
but
and
also you could combine, right, a side with that sync server commands. So you place call, you maybe and then receive data from the disconnect and then receive data from sync server.
correct, yeah, that is through call behavior, yeah, you're right, yeah, we can do it that way also. But right now this hammer only places the call and it is connected from the hammer itself.
Okay, so
So I'm going to
you are having two VMs running with side A and side B, or how you are configure this one?
it's all configured in one VM. Yeah, this VM I can, yeah.
Okay, one VM
It's
with
it,
this.
yeah, it's a 237, like 10, 10, 90, 20, 237.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you use two
so,
channels, one for side A and one for side B.
right, yeah. So let's place the call. And then we'll come to here. We should make sure that this turns to a calling. Okay, so it's calling now. So now what we can do is we can also make sure that in the here it will change it to talking. Okay, so now these two agents are talking. Okay, now let's say when the call drops, we should get some data on the sync server side. See, now we received these 4 data field, and those values are like 12,001 and 12,001, and then some, the call UID and all that. So as I said, here it is like a very, bare minimum project, but if the more complex it gets, the more complex data they can read and they can actually manipulate it and they can do anything with it. Because if you see, the call master has like many icons, like, so I myself not sure about it, but yes, there are so many icons. Yeah, they can do pretty much all kind of an operations. Yeah. So yeah. So now we can also see it in the log file. Like when we go to a log file, we will see both receive and see, I see one receive here after 191. Okay. So because why I'm not getting too many receive, I need to keep running. We can also make sure that, run this application in a, for loop kind of thing. So it never misses the data.
So
So yeah,
this agent is working behind which PVX?
uh, sorry, which
I
agent
mean,
this?
uh, the script is
The,
running this agent.
this agent is
Which P,
configured on the configured on the
no, which
Genesis server.
PBX? Oh, Genesis. Okay.
Genesis, yeah.
So the lab
This
is
is a
with in InfoVista. Or,
correct.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so the coding wise, so yeah, so I think we caught it now here how things work. Now the coding wise, it's really every I would say one more. Almost for all like Genesis, Cisco, and um, Avaya, we have some kind of a methods like a send data to sync server, which basically you know get these details like this ASP URL detail and how to send it and what all data element to send it. It is all being stored in a config file. I'll show you the config file at the moment. So this all sorry, all this informations are stored in the config file, and whenever call drops, the HVA code base basically reads this data and then reads this data element also, and then look for this data from the customer environment. Like whenever like we get some notification. In Cisco it is going to be through XMPP. In Avaya it is going to through WebSocket. In Genesis it is going to be through some kind of a callback mechanism. In that we'll get some object. In that object we will be able to extract these values and send it back to sync server. Let me show you that code as well for Genesis. We can go through it for even Cisco or anything, but I'll just give you an idea so that it'll be straightforward. So for
One
example,
question, Shankar.
mhm,
Actually, you are running the A to A calling B script, correct? That is
mhm.
separately. Then the sync server also separately, is it?
Yes, but in the A calls B, it already connects to the genesis.tembrix.com. In the channel configuration, if you go through,
Yeah, yeah.
they'll say what is the destination address and what is the agent extension.
Okay, but in
Yeah.
no, I mean, then how do you run that sync script that is also in the call master, correct? You have to run the sync script in the call master and this A to call B in the test builder.
Right. The sync server the sync server in the call master, it basically looks for the data, looks for the specific data, right? Look for the specific data on the sync server level. HVA is also independent. HVA part is it just sends the data to sync server. Um, Now, if we don't have this call master project, that sync server don't keep that data in a memory or in a database or anywhere. It is just a fraction of time. If we are not able to read it, that data will be lost. So,
So we have to
so it's
run
like
the
a
sync server first.
correct. Yeah, we have to run the sync server first, and we should also run it in a loop if we wanted to read it for multiple agents. Right now, here I just showed it for one agent, because like if you remember here, let me show you something. So I placed in total 66 calls, but I probably read the data for all 66 calls. I probably read for like 5 or 6 calls or maybe 10 calls because I didn't run this project on a for loop. I just ran it whenever I needed. So just a demo purpose, right?
But if
So you
it's a part of that A side script, right, then it will be kind of running in the context of that call. So
correct.
each agent will have its data, if it's properly aligned in terms of synchronization between A and B side, you will probably be there is no need of of those loops. Each channel will
Correct.
have its own data received
Right.
in
Yeah.
more or less in real time.
Right. Yeah. So basically, if you have questions related to call master side, I would probably check with Vladimir or Yax because I didn't do
Okay.
much on the call master side. Yeah. But I'm only talking about in a higher level, how the communication happens, like how HVA, because HVA and call master and the hammer, everything is, disconnected. The common point is you said, right, the genesis.mbrix.com, PPX or whatever you call it, like that is where. So basically hammer places the call to genesis.mbrix.com. HVA basically looks for the state change, agent state change. If the call is received, HVA will change the agent state to talking. And if the call is ended, the agent state will changes back from talking to ready. At that point of time, HVA sends the data to sync server.
So here, who is answering the call, HVA or the side B phone?
A side B phone, yeah. HVA is not at all, in the business of like placing or receiving the call. Yeah, it is only reading the agent state. If the agent state changes, Genesis will send a callback mechanism, a callback message to HVA, and HVA basically reads it and updates the state. Not
Okay.
updates the state, it just basically displays the state. Yeah, not even update. Yeah.
So basically, it will monitor that
Co-
extension for events and
Correct.
doing the state change using the agent commands.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And Sankar, any like issues we've experienced with that sync server that you're in a context of the HVA that you know about, and maybe what they
Sure.
like,
We can.
how you fix it, and etc.
Sure, yeah. So basically, like in Wells Fargo, they complained that we were not able to get this data like a ECDA underscore CP version, okay, or ECDA underscore any. So in our lab, in our genesis.empirics.com, like in the InfoVista level, we didn't have this data. So so basically, what the troubleshooting mechanism what we could employ here is like log this entire this is the T server event. This is the data which is coming through a callback. So we don't. I mean, of course we know the object structure. Like we can study this object. What all data, what all possible data can come through. But here they also have some kind of a generic collection. Key value collections. What is inside in that key value collection, we don't know. I mean, we don't know in the sense those are like configurable at the customer side. They could be named like this, ECDA or ECD, whatever. Like it could be ECDA in case of Wells Fargo. It could be something else in case of Swisscom and Kaiser. So every company has that own thing. So the first attempt is like log everything, whatever they send, and then in the second attempt, let's match, use the unit testing mechanism and parse those value and do that. That's, it's basically in a way upfront, we will not be able to fix this because we don't know what data elements are going to come through. We can put it in a log and then collect the log from the customer and then code it. That's that's
So you initially you say receive all data. You will not specify any like parameter. So you
parameter.
get the entire set of CGI data they can send, and then you
Correct.
start like from the log file. You start like seeing what they really sent, and from there you take this specific
Data. Yeah.
keys and specific data and put it in this HVA sync server configuration.
Correct. Yeah. So basically, all these things, all these values are like, even though they are like a data member and the value, I convert them into a like a key pair and put it in a dictionary. And once we convert it into an individual key and if it is in a form of dictionary, then it is easy to extract those values out of it. So so generating this key values can be a little bit, I mean, can be challenging unless we don't, because if we know the keys and values, then it is easy, but it's dynamic. So we have to actually drive from the log file itself. So, this is one of the things that was kind of made it
And
difficult. And another thing is like whenever we change here, we change anything here, the first thing is we have to save it or else these settings are not going to get into our config files. Like for example, if I change this URL to something else and immediately the test connection, if I click, that data is not saved. So that sometimes they
and let's
overlook
say
it as a part.
you test connection
Mhm.
and you see if, like test fails, what would be
Yeah,
everything
if the
seems to be okay, but I mean the test fails, what would you do?
so the first step is like we wanted to access this URL from the HVA server where HVA is running. So to make sure that we get this
Website, web access.
We get this website. Yeah, it should come as, that 0 and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on? Oh, maybe this server is not accessible from my local machine.
Mm.
Okay, because it's a VM, right? Even though
Mm-hmm.
I'm connected to VPN, but it's still possible that the port is not exposed. But it may be accessible from another VM, not from my local desktop. Can you, yeah, so that's the first step actually. What we wanted to do is we wanted to access it. We should get this message. If we get this message, one thing is very clear. The website is, okay. The ASP website is accessible. Now, the second point could be like, you know, it, it is, the sync server exe is not running on the call master side. In that case, it won't be success either.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then another thing is we can enable this lock that we are talking about. We can see, sync server is running. The website is accessible. And then are we getting any kind of an entry here or not? So,
Do we
I mean,
have any login data in the HVA logs saying that like when we run the test, when we try to send something, we also have
yeah,
something
yeah.
logged in the HVA log?
Correct,
Good
correct.
to
Yeah,
know.
we pretty much log everything that we send it to a sync server. So that is another place. Like, are we getting anything into a log, or are we getting any kind of an exception in the HVA log? That is the another step that we can look at it. So HVA logs are going to be here. One moment. Yeah. So here. So here, like we can come and look for like something like a send key or a sync, anything we can search. I mean, those things are going to be in the code also. So from the code, we can. Okay. So yeah. So this is this is what that DLL initialization is for sync server. They use create object, the com decom approach. And after that, once it's established, then, here, I think it is throwing some error right now because it says, oh, maybe this is an old lock, because I'm playing around with it. So yeah. So let's not look at this lock. Let's look at the lock that in that VM, because this is my local machine. I'm actually playing around with that Cisco one, right, Vladimir? So Cisco.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why, yeah, that's why this is kind of a incorrect lock. Let me show you a log from this machine. Yeah, from here. Oh, maybe the log I need to pick up. Logs get filled so fast. Oh, oh, this is correct. There's only one lock. I thought, oh, maybe this is error level locking. Okay, one moment. Okay, infos are there.
That's info.
Yeah.
Maybe you need debug. I know debug is also here. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes, there should be.
Sync server.
Yeah.
Look for sync server.
Sync server, yeah, okay. Yeah. One moment, let's look at the code, from the code, we can find out the key. But so in case of,
Is that the latest? It says 10:07.
oh, okay, sorry, maybe I picked up the wrong. Let's check one moment, yeah.
No, it's the one.
That's
At the end, it should say.
maybe I'll open one more also.
At the end, it should say today's date timestamps, right?
Right.
10:11.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's looking at in the. Let's open up all of it. We don't know which one is it is. Okay. So this is coming from 10:06. Today's what? It's a little older file, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but in principle, it says.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So here, we can find out, the sync host is our ASP URL, and then the data field is, here we didn't configure it. So it is pretty much sending all the components, all the data field. If you see, it's very huge line. Okay, let me show it differently. So I'm just going to say word wrap. So if we look at here, it's sending the entire data which we get it from Genesis. So lazy parser, like maybe it's not even they are not even interested in this, but yeah. So this is one way to kind of find out what all element that we are getting from that callback event, and out of that, what data we are interested, that we can map it in that GUI, and then the filtering part happens in the HVA side and it sends back. Now call UID.
Sankar, I'm kind of vaguely recollecting. I guess it was Wells Fargo when they have kind of nested CTI
Um,
data, like one of those values in those key value pair itself presents
right.
a set of key value pairs, right?
Correct.
And
Correct. Yeah.
in there we kind of didn't, I guess,
We
even
missed
if
it. Yeah.
we just told that we need additional parsing for that,
Correct.
but
Correct. Yeah. Whenever.
it could be happening that way, right?
Correct. Yeah. So that's what, this KV list. This is a user defined list. And if it has a list within a list, then we will be in trouble. We have to write extra parsing logic. So yeah, so that's what, that's why we need to print everything. I mean, print everything in the sense, log everything in the log. And then after reading through the log, we can find out, oh, this is a nested object, or maybe, one level nested, two level. Yeah, that needs to be
And
figured.
with Wells Fargo, was it something like
Uh,
unimportant in that nested
uh,
piece, or
no, the nested one was in the Swisscom,
how we managed to escape that? Ah,
yeah, the
Swisscom.
nested one is
Ah,
Swisscom. Yeah, they said that.
sorry.
Yeah, they said that right now we are not doing anything with the CTI data. So
Uh-huh.
when time comes, we can come back. We can kind of let you know. That's what
Yeah,
their
it was
response.
Swisscom.
Yeah, yeah. So with
Mm-hmm.
Wells Fargo, we were able to. They didn't have a nested list, but we were able to fix their problem by from the log.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And did we have any issues with the size? If it's like too large or too small of that
Uh,
package that we sent? Nothing.
no, no.
When we try to dump data, like it not the complete set of data was sent or something like that.
Yeah,
Or
the
we never
maximum.
seen that.
Yeah, the size of the data packet is defined on the call master side. That the sync server exe itself, exe source code. But I never got a chance to play around with that. That
You
source code.
mean
But there is
size of a
res
receiving side or sending
receiving.
also?
No, sending we have no problem because sending
Mm-hmm.
.NET is like a huge, right? We can use string builder, we can use like a heavy data object to send it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm not sure. Maybe someone, maybe like a Eric or someone kind of indicated that there is some restriction, the packet size restriction on the call master side. But we never hit
Mm-hmm.
that limit though. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something. Yeah. So yeah. So basically, the Genesis part, like what, how, okay, send data to sync server. Yeah. So this is basically going to be called, this method is going to be called. So here, like a couple of events, like one is when data attached or event released. So these are all the two event we are going to send the data to sync server, and this method will be called from that original here event released. So this is a part of that entire callback mechanism of Genesis server. So, we get events for everything, like when a call is established, or even when it is ringing, they immediately changes to answer, or sorry, talking. When the agents becomes not ready, or agent becomes ready or locked out. So this is a huge switch method where we are not handling all the messages, but we are handling whatever we needed. Yeah. So yeah.
And if we don't handle it, it will be shown in a
Yeah.
default
Right. We are
way.
actually locking that. We are actually locking that message, and so that kind of helps us if we wanted to do anything with that message in the future. But right now, yeah. So you know, we are
And
not
that way
handling
we send that sync data on call disconnect, right?
call disconnect. Yeah. Event release. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you go through this method, it's a pretty straightforward method. So we have some extra logic, like extra logic around it, but the main the data element, the object which has all the data element is this T server event. So this is well documented on the Genesis site, Genesis online website. So here, basically, entire object is basically converted into a key value pair. Instead of reading data member one by one, use some technique, programming logic, whatever, like use link to query and all that, and convert entire object into a dictionary key pair value. It could have like 100 keys, or it could have 1,000 keys or whatever. Yeah, the entire object is being converted into a key value pair, and after that we just match whatever value it is mentioned here. If they mentioned only 10 field, out of those 100 keys, we extract those 10 and send it out. So that's a pretty straightforward, C# logic. So the same way, like now this is for Genesis commands. The same way there is a method for Cisco commands. Cisco commands is called HVAS commands. Sorry, yeah, HVAS commands. So here also the same method will be there. But it's on notifier, because the Cisco mechanism, the notification comes through as a XMPP notification. So the method is, yeah, written here.
And what we're doing now with that timer-based polling instead of XMPP,
Uh-huh.
we
Yeah. So
We on voice part at least.
yeah. So in
Or,
voice pod, what happens is like with the SSO logic, what is happening is we are not getting the XMPP notification. We are emailing, we are trying to get some support from Cisco DevNet group. It is like still going on. So
okay.
meanwhile, to resolve the issue, what we did was like um, they provided some REST API to get the dialog notification. So what happens is like yeah, so we already have some timer. Every 10 seconds, we update the agent state. We update the agent state, how many of them are in ready, not ready, and things like that. In that same timer logic, we also manually pull the notification from the Cisco servers. And out of that notification, if we see any kind of a dialog notification for any agents, we process them and then, and then we send the data to the sync server. Um, even even in this
So
dialog notification,
those data will also have those CTI data embedded in that response, right?
correct? Yeah, in the dialog message, yeah.
So we
Of
extract
course,
them and pack them to the key
right.
value pairs and
Hmm.
send.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But for
So the
that we do this when not at the disconnect, but when switch to token, right?
when it switches to talking to ready,
Token to
yeah,
radio.
ready,
That's
yeah,
how it is right now. Uh-huh.
yeah. Because like
Because
we are not, we are only.
yeah, we are not able to. So we
re-
collect them
Correct.
with
Stop.
token state,
Hmm.
but we send them when we disconnect, which that means we switch from token to radio.
Ready. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, so if you go through the code, I mean, it will be, straightforward and readable. Only thing is why we did this, because we are not getting that XMPP notification. That is maybe something to do with some kind of a port settings or XMPP component setting. Once it's resolved, we may not need this code. We don't need this code at all. Um, and we already written a generic method which handles almost all the scenario. And if for example, if that works, then this flow will change. And I'll show you that. Happen to that that on whatever, like on message received, right? Right here, yeah. So on receive XML. So
Hmm.
that method, yeah, this method is it's mapped with the XMPP component, and we don't have to make any changes here if we receive the dialog notification or agent state user state notification through XMPP. So
So
yeah,
if it's fixed that XMPP situation, then what we need to do, we just have to remove that
yeah, we
from
have
the
to remove.
statistics timer, right?
Yeah, either we have to remove or we introduced some system parameter and we can set it to false.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So right now we have one system parameter.
It's in the released uh,
Right. It's in the config file. Yeah,
in
it's not
config
checked in
file.
yet. I will be sending you a merge request. Yeah, it is still.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it will be somewhere here. Yeah. So this is, yeah, I added a system parameter called Cisco XMPP notification. Right now it
One
is
means
false.
old way, right?
Yeah, one means it's
Normal,
the
original way.
original way. Yeah, correct.
Mhm.
If it is zero, it is non-original way. Yeah, our manual way of implementing it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, so for all the even for Avaya also it is there. So it is just a matter of Avaya. We probably don't need to make any changes as of now.
Mhm.
The changes are needed only for the Genesis and the Cisco. Um, yeah,
What
because mostly
changes for
mostly
Genesis?
mostly like we discussed one case is like nested data, or maybe if some data element is missing, which customer is setting it up as a user defined data, then yes, then we may need some extra parsing logic. But other than that, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, there won't be any changes. So I'll keep in that KT folder. I'll keep all the document. I'll keep the
Yeah, the
how to set.
documents you showed with
Yeah.
how to
Mm-hmm.
say
I'll,
from the co-masters side and
mm-hmm.
from the HVA side, whatever you have. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, it will be there. Yeah, I'll I'll move everything from my local machine to there. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah. Uh, f- I think tomorrow I can go and talk about that the transformer one. But for documentation and the hybrid one, I think we have to invite. Uh,
You said that you can ping him, uh,
yeah,
Dheeraj.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Shall I invite him or
yeah.
you
Please.
can do it?
No,
Uh-huh,
maybe I
okay.
think I'll invite. Maybe I'll invite him tomorrow, or if I don't
Uh-huh.
think he's going to
Yeah.
be online now. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think we can invite him. Invite Dheeraj and Shailaja tomorrow for our HVA call, and then I can talk about.
Tomorrow, both of them.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Or we can even Shailaja is here, so you can even we can even connect to her, whenever you guys need it. Maybe we can cover
You
only.
mean later, not in
Yeah.
the context
Hmm.
of this, KT?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm thinking if
Is there
I'm not.
anything that can be like discussed between you and her, or it's totally kind of
It's
separate?
it's totally separate. Yeah. So I can kind of
So let's say
explain
we
what I
make
understand.
any changes on our side in the
Uh-huh.
HVA core.
Uh-huh.
We always, I mean, in GUI, agent columns or something,
y- Right.
shall
Yeah.
we
So
inform her or not?
yes. Uh-huh.
Not each and every time.
We should inform, provided if we wanted that data to be available in the cloud platform. For example, they have like standard data like agent ID, extension, behavior, group, and
Hmm.
state. Okay.
Hmm.
Now they don't have anything related to chat. Okay.
Hmm.
So now, for example, we wanted to send some data from anything related to chat related. Yes, they
Hmm.
have to make a changes on their side
Hmm.
um, on the HVA manager, and then they would read the data from here and then send it to cloud platform.
So what
Okay.
data she might need for us, any from us, any kind of
Uh-huh.
what information other than this picture we should
We
give to
don't
her?
have to. Uh-huh. We don't basically what they do is they go through the log file. Like we are not going to send anything through they basically read everything from the log file. For example, if you go to agent info, we send
Hmm.
some message to you know so yeah, so this is the one, so like from this message, when whatever we publish it to a client, like a core to client, they will actually create a separate RabbitMQ. They actually push this message into their queue, and then they read these messages in a periodically, and then um, they they actually present that data in the cloud platform. But what they
So
do is
all they need is the log file. They don't need any configuration files, nothing, just a log file.
yeah, mostly log file. But here what they do is like we do send agent state, agent actually chat state, but they just ignore it. Right now, they just ignore it because nobody was told to do any chat related functionality. They are only concerned about voice related.
But
Okay.
if they become kind of interested
Requirement. Yeah.
in
Then
this
that
requirement,
then yeah, then that is the time actually we, I mean, this team and Silaja need to sit together and find out all the required data. We are sending it through, through this log. Um,
hmm
yeah, I mean, the log in the sense, basically like in HVA, whenever we send anything to a log, that is also
hmm
going through some queue, right? A logging queue, right? So
hmm
whenever we send it to a log, at that time they intercept it and they also pick that message and put it in another queue that is mainly used for cloud platform. And
So
then
they work by log file, not by like the queue
no,
for
they work by queue.
GUI.
No, they don't work by queue. Sorry, GUI. They work by the queue, but to verify, how we can verify is through via log. We
hmm
want, because whenever I contact her, she will say this data is not coming. Then she open up the log file and she will tell me that you are not passing this data element on this command.
hmm
You know, so yeah, that is something to verify. The
hmm
queue point of view, we can verify it whether I'm sending this data to the queue or a log or not.
hmm
And if yes, then she will look at her side and she'll make sure that why it is not coming, or if it is coming, it is, she will say it is coming.
hmm
You know. Yeah, but she can kind of give us give you guys a demo so that we can understand you can understand the end-to-end flow, like, because there is some config settings which is more specific to uh, the cloud platform. Let
So they
me
have
show
a
you.
entire setup with the HVA, etc., to run that demo, or they need
C-
something from us.
they she can I mean Silaja can set it up from our side. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, so there are four configuration parameter that needs to be set to true when they install HVA. Okay, let me show you that.
so
Okay,
when you
just
install HVA, it first thing it does whether it's like cloud or
right,
so well we should know upfront that it will be in a cloud environment and choose that, right?
right. Yeah, when you
Uh-huh.
choose it as a cloud environment, it
It
will ask
cannot be
for
done
camera details.
afterwards, like put the existing HVA under that cloud
We can
control.
still
It
do it.
can we can
We
still
can
do it.
yeah, we can still do it. We have to copy that to those configuration parameter and then put it here and stop HVA and restart it.
Uh-huh.
Uh, we can still do it, but that is more of like someone has to manually edit those. So it's not
Uh-huh.
advisable. Yeah, yeah.
And parameter is from the it
That
can be
is
taken
in.
from the source code.
It
The
can be
name
taken
is
from the source code, or it can be taken from some other working,
yeah.
uh,
hmm Cloud.
working
hmm
cloud HVA. Correct.
hmm
So if you wanted to take it from code, it is in the server controller. So the controller, like, so here. Something called like very pretty basic, like ECP, yeah, ECP enabled. Yeah, these are the four thing. This has to be true,
So all
and
four
then
parameters have to be present.
present. Yeah, I think
Include
she kind of indicated that she's not using this anymore, but we missed to remove it. But these three is needed.
so the first of all HTTP configured
True.
is HTTP configured.
Yeah, true or false. And then the
Uh-huh.
HVA name and the client name. HVA name is basically, I think it is a Hammer instance, and then the
Mm,
client name is whatever the client name, because I think they store this. I think they have a subscription based, right? Like every client can access only two instances of Hammer or only one instance of Hammer. That mapping, basically. Yeah,
mm.
yeah.
So when you
So yeah,
configure, you have to set it all those parameters if you run it through the configurator.
Correct,
Like
correct. Yeah, the
name.
installer. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. That's why we generally say no. This HVA is not for cloud platform. This is a standalone HVA. So
and
because
if
we will not know these values. We have to install Hammer and then all that. Yeah.
mhm,
And when we say it as HVA is meant for hybrid, then in that same HVA machine, Silaja will install JCC also. So that
yeah.
is there. Yeah. Yeah. So
Why do we need to know the Hammer?
um, that is where I think the JCC basically reads that data and puts it into that database. Okay. And the Hammer server basically reads that data from that database point of view.
I see.
So basically, I think I may not be right or maybe right. We can check with Shailaja,
Hmm.
but basically she reads all the data and insert into a database. And at that point, the cloud platform GUI basically reads that data from the database and it displays the message, it displays the report, like, which Hammer is connected to and so on. So
And that cloud-based GUI, I mean that Shellagers GUI. From there, she could only. Is there any like difference
they
comparing to the main HVA,
they
or she can do exactly the
they
same
can't do any
operations?
they can't do anything related to behavior, sync server. They can't do anything like configuration and all that. They can only
They
see
so they are kind of only for monitoring purpose. They cannot
monitoring. Yeah.
make the agent ready.
They can do that. Yeah, they can
They
actually make
can.
the agent. Yes, they can make the agent ready, not ready, log out. They can do that basic agent operations.
Hmm.
They yeah, they can also run this behavior, start behavior and all that, but they don't have access to any other tab like a behavior, sync server,
But it
logs.
will be something like whatever is default.
Mhm.
So if this agent comes with the behavior one, this behavior one will be executing, right?
They can execute it. Yeah, so
But they
they should
cannot
be
change it, or they cannot edit the behavior itself.
correct. Correct.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And same with sync server,
correct. But they
and
can go with
same with logs.
they have to go with the default settings. Yeah.
Hmm.
If they wanted to make that sort of a settings, then they have to do it on the HVA standalone, and from there they have to
So they
use
cannot
it.
change the log level from default to something else.
Correct.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And when we have that, let's say, new like forced approach for Cisco with that timer-based thing, will it anyhow affect Challenger stuff, or she will not notice?
She will not notice. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because like it's internal to HVA.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said from the beginning, whatever message we send it from notifier or a core to client, she will get a copy of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So only
That's important. So whatever we send
right,
to the client,
she will
she
get a copy of
also
it. Yeah,
has the same.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that message, they know how to refresh their GUI and do whatever they wanted. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Okay.
plus they can also send this log in, log out, ready, not ready commands. So
Mm-hmm.
if we
Mm-hmm.
make any changes in there, we have to let Silaja knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we'll talk.
Shankar, I have a question here.
Mhm.
Actually, what kind of issues we are getting reported frequently, like in HVA? There is any bug means we will frequently face these kinds of bugs, right? Some type of
Right.
bugs. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Most of the time, they will run into some HVA installation issue itself. Like HVA don't get installed at all. like RabbitMQ. RabbitMQ can fail since it's an open source. We don't have much control on it. If that goes good, it's possible that they may not. They they didn't have the latest config file.
Just
You
one
know,
second. With regards with that RabbitMQ, that is like by default, it is installing on C drive, and when it comes to C drive, everything is most probably okay. But
okay, correct.
in
Yeah,
many cases, many customers are not allowed to use that C drive for the installation, so they install it on some different drive, or even if the network drive is present and mapped, and then there's RabbitMQ or Erlang utilized by RabbitMQ comes to some disarray, and then all those like manual repair steps might be necessary, and it's like very annoying and frustrating, and that's what actually Sankar is talking about when the RabbitMQ is not properly installed.
correct. Yeah. And we are not the alone, I mean, since it's an open source, many people have faced this problem. So if you basically search the exact error in the Google, we may get some insights, but most of the time, it's going to be like a trial and error, unfortunately, because it is their installer. And I think, Vladimir, I think they're also talking about of getting rid of the RabbitMQ altogether, right? They wanted to move to
Yeah,
some
they
other
they're
some other
talking from day
sophisticated.
one
Yeah,
about doing that. So it's like many other Hammer
right.
companies rely on RabbitMQ, so it's like should be some like system-wide effort, I guess.
Right. Yeah. The advantage with Hammer and Hammer using the RabbitMQ and HVA using the RabbitMQ is the Hammer, like we decide what server we are going to install. It is a cloud based, so we have a good control on our server in case of Hammer. So in case of cloud platform. But whereas in HVA we don't have a control. It's a standalone. It's on-prem. So customer can install it on any Windows server, Windows 10 or any. And that's where this has a high visibility. This RabbitMQ issue has a high visibility. So that's another so so if they would have faced all this problem that we are facing on HVA, they could have moved on to a Kafka or some other better queuing mechanism. But yeah, it is not yet. So
And about debugging from its dev machine, is it possible? Whether we
yeah,
can
sure,
do
yeah.
debugging.
Sure, yeah. Let me so basically let me stop this here one moment. So it's a straightforward .NET project. Okay, so if you wanted to run basically like to debug it, um, basically we want to start the HVA service. HVA service is a Windows service, so that needs to be installed in the service panel. So that's the first step. Let me bring up that. Yeah. So here we will see this Hammer virtual agent. This is our service. So we can install it through installer, or we can install it manually also. There are commands like sc.exe, like it's basically how we install any Windows service in there is a command called sc.exe that installs pretty much any services. Sc.exe, and you give the exe path. And the exe is going to be when we built it, exe is a part of this project. So when I built it, like let me show you like here. I so here, oh, not from here, sorry. So it's a source. Okay. So we don't have to do anything. As soon as we pull down the code from the Git, it comes with all those predefined folders. So in the output, if it is a debug version, it will have the debug related thing. So when we built the entire project, we will have both client side related DLL and the service related DLL. Okay, so first we need to install this HVA.exe. This is the service which is basically the core part. So here this gets installed from this path. Um, So I do it. Why I do it, move to a different folder called HVA service, because I can make so many changes quickly and then um, move it to here. But if I run it as a part of a Visual Studio, what happens is every time I need to stop the service, and I was kind of like it sometime it locks the window, Visual Studio. I forgot to stop the service. I'll try to compile it, run into smaller issues like related to Windows locking, and Windows gets locked and my Visual Studio get crashed and all that. So basically what I do is I built it, I create a separate folder called a service, and then move all the binaries there and install the service through sc.exe from that folder, so that I can run it in a debug mode. So if you wanted to debug only the service, then we can run the service also, because it is acting as a console application, and also it is acting like a service. So if you straight away run this in a debug mode, this will work like a console application. That is not going to be helpful. In case if you are only checking the service part, or if you are having some issues, the service is not starting, then yes, I would debug the service part straight away. But if you are mostly working on the GUI and if you are having some issues, then at that time we can make this as a startup project, um, you know, and then once we run the um, GUI, um, from the configuration tab. Is it running? What I think I'm not sure why it's not. So let's say I run it in a debug mode, close this. Yeah, this kind of a thing happens. So I close the Visual Studio and reopen it.
So there will be only one service HVA, correct? In
Yeah,
case of okay, so based on the configuration, everything will be
right. Yeah.
So this client
Only
is the web client, correct?
web
ASP.x.
.NET Core. Yeah, ASP.NET Core, but we are not using many of ASP.NET Core functionality. It is mostly ASP.NET MVC application.
Okay, that is
Yeah,
the client application.
that's a client application, and this is this core and notifier is a part of service application.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
sync server.
sync server is also part of this core and notifier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then they have this common project, which is, has some util methods, some common classes for both core and client.
Okay, you told
Yeah.
this sync server some ASP.NET page, correct? That is, we need to host that in ASP.NET. That is different, is it?
Yeah, that is different. Yeah, that is different. And this is the backend part, the C++ library, which is converted into uh, because we cannot access C++
COM-DLL.
class.
Okay.
Yeah, COM-DLL. Yeah, that part is this. That part is a part of this project. That ASP page, it is ASP page basically uses. I mean, once we host the ASP page, the HVA basically uses this to communicate to that ASP page. So ASP
Okay,
page
so
is completely
that
standalone.
source
Yeah.
is different, is it?
Uh-huh.
That I mean that source is different, correct? ASP page source.
Yeah. Yeah, it is different. Yeah, it is not even a part of here. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'll copy that into that KT folder. So yeah. And if it is not, I mean, it is available almost in all the VM. Yeah. So that ASP page. Yeah. So I generally keep, this HVA client as a startup project, and then I start running.
So first time it deploys some mini, or how it's called, light IIS
Uh-huh.
when you do
Yeah,
it.
that's another thing. Yeah, we can actually run it in a palm in these are many environments they can run it. If you don't wanted to run it from Visual Studio, if you wanted to host it even in the local machine in the IIS, and if you wanted to access it from there, yes, that is also possible. But in local development environment, we don't need it, right?
Yeah,
So
it's Express,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, IIS Express, and then yeah, not sure something happened. Some got changed, I think. So it's a pretty simple solution and not overcomplicated, not complicated. Um, and whenever we install this application, that's very important. We have to run it as an administrator because the RabbitMQ component, all that is being installed as a part of an installer. So that can trick us. So we spend a lot of time. Most of the time, I just go and run it normal user, and then the RabbitMQ and all that won't get installed, or it will run into some issues.
So you mean to say that starting Visual Studio itself from the administrator mode, is it?
Administrator, you're right. Yeah, starting Visual Studio and even installing HVA on the client side, via installer.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure something happened with Visual Studio now.
And
The issues might occur when you, for example, we have like 3 different platforms, and
Right.
the implementation for 3 of them is different, as you may have noticed. And even with inside Cisco, it is different between like version 11.5 and 12 and 12.5. So whenever is 12.5 and newer, they have different security policies, so it like changes everything. And so,
Right.
if they simply kind of run the pre-installed HVA against a new and upgrade, let's say, the Cisco environment, there might be issues because they cannot connect anymore, because the ports have changed in the like, and they stop receiving notifications from the finesse, which we still experience. And also they started adding some additional security steps for the agents like SSO, whatever Sankar have already explained, and then it like becomes a mix of REST API requests defined in the manuals and some kind of logic extracted from the HAR file. So it's a like combo of 3 different platforms to work with that, like XMPP for notifications, HAR files requests for SSOPs for one customer only so far, and the
Right.
rest is like standard uh, REST APIs for like sending commands to the finesse, right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
And
So
when you change for like based when you like Sankar already mentioned, since we build everything based on HAR file, it may like change from one customer deployment to another customer deployment because we are trying to mimic and simulate some certain client agent client behavior for that customer running in some certain environment. So if they switch, suddenly the different customer uses a different even maybe tool for agent console or different environment that that code might not work out of the box, and you might need to recollect that HAR file and see what is missing in our implementation or what is not necessary maybe.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
saw that in
So,
Cisco case, for example, with SSO.
okay, so basically for this that archive file doing it's for SSO, Cisco SSO, and for Avaya workspace, correct? What is that
Right.
Avaya?
Avaya voice and chat workspace.
So what is the client used for that? Uh,
For
I mean
Avaya, it
the
is a WWT. It's a Verizon for Avaya.
no,
And
no, that Avaya application like a Cisco Finesse, like that Avaya. What is the agent application we are using? I'm
It's
estimating
Aura 8.
Avaya Oceana workspace. Yeah.
Oceana.
Yeah.
workspace, Avaya
Oceana.
workspace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, for we are doing this. What is that? Archiving for only these two things, correct? Avaya Oceana as well as this Cisco SSO.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So rest of the things we are using the APIs and XMPP for Cisco, and I think Genesis for pure cloud and Engage. It's a straightforward APIs, correct? SDKs.
Exactly. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And for
Okay,
Kaiser
this
is for
XMPP, what third-party API you're using? It's open source or
No, we
something?
have we purchased some libraries from the company called AG Software,
Okay,
and they have some product called Matrix with capital X, capital M, capital X that supports that generic XMPP protocol, and
okay.
we use that for notifications. With Finesse, it worked till recently. Now it's like not clear. We're in the process of figuring out what's going on. We had to change the transport. When they switched from version 11.5 to 12.5, it stopped working because the port is different and the transport is different, but still with the changes it still doesn't work, so we continue like asking questions. The main problem with Cisco is lack of developer level support. That's why we had to build chat portion of the HVA for Cisco from the HAR file rather than from some APIs that might or might not exist because they don't share it with third parties, that kind of knowledge. So the only way of implementing that chat piece was collecting the HAR file from some chat client, Cisco chat client, and implementing that in HVA.
Okay. So
Yeah.
additionally, for other than single sign-on, for Cisco chat also, we are using the HAR file approach only.
Partially. So for notifications, we send command based on the HAR file. We receive notifications from the same way as for voice with the XMPP mechanism because they update that XMPP notifications with the chat related information as well. So it's kind of combo, not just
Right.
purely HAR, but also XMPP.
Yeah, in the documentation, they provided some kind of a API approach. We tried and it was not working. So then finally we took this HAR file approach.
And also another issue that might occur that whatever we build for WWT is fully based on their chat implementation. They used so-called ECE implementation, which is enterprise chat and email. And
Right.
they have some other implementations where the different Cisco services involved and maybe different mechanism of charging. So whatever we have right now is for ECE at WWT. So we need to, if somebody asks which is happening right now as we speak, I had some questions whether we support Cisco chat. I have to specifically mention that we support ECE, and they have to check with the customer whether the customer also with ECE. If not, then we need to start from scratch. If here, then we might probably need to collect the HAR file and compare, or maybe it will even work right out of the box. But in case of non-ECE, it's like much more work needs to be done to make it working.
Do you have any matrix document for this, Vladimir? Like what is it now?
Pardon? Say it again.
Do you have any matrix like document saying supporting for this version chat? This is how this will work. Or
We
something
don't
like
have
that?
any document. It's like internal knowledge between me and Sankar, but we can.
Okay.
When it comes to that, we can kind of build that.
There are
So explain.
yeah.
For now, just
Ben.
think like Genesis, always based on PSDK at this point, pure engage, and whatever we really release and tested. Avaya is purely HAR, right?
Correct. Yeah. Both voice and chat are HAR. HAR file based.
Cisco is XMPP for notification. Always both voice and chat, and for voice we use REST API commands. For chat we build it out of the HAR file. And if you come to SSO for voice, then that addition, that like SSO authentication is also from HAR file, right?
Yeah, to get that authentication token, we use HAR file. And then once we receive the token, then we go to the old method like REST API.
If you talk about chat and about chat generation tool, which has to generate some chat traffic, then it is always for all components, it will be built based from the HAR file.
I mean, that component is not part of this KT, this chat generation tool?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's done by some other people, and we have.
But do you use that, Shankar? Do you use that?
Yeah, we use it to generate the traffic, but it is developed on a Python. It's on a different source code. I think when time comes, there is a recorded video, or maybe Vladimir can explain to you all.
Yeah, it's not only. Yeah, it's not now new people after Himanshu, they start doing that on Java. And so whatever is for Cisco and Avaya for WWT, it was written in Python from the HAR file, and the Genesis thing, it's right now for Kaiser project. I guess it will be Java. So some other person from your group will be working on that. Is working on that on chat generation tool.
Yeah, I think the Satish, I think, is working on.
Correct, Satish.
Yeah.
So other than that, if you let me kind of walk you through a little bit on the repository in the Git, Um, so the entire HVA code is in the GitLab. Okay. So, to access, you probably have now username and password. So, like the repository is, did Vladimir, have you explained this to uh, this team
No,
or?
I did not explain. I
Uh,
don't know. Do you have access to GitLab?
I have a
Yes.
developer access, not the admin access.
No,
Uh,
no. I mean, yeah, I was going to say if you have access, but you cannot access the HVA,
uh-huh.
then you have to go to Yax. So he included you in the group,
Okay.
or
Yeah, I think
whoever
we
is.
we had that access,
Mhm,
Vladimir.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So you have access to HVA repository, right? Like, so basically what we have to do is whenever we wanted to develop something like a bug or we wanted to fix something, if you think that there is going to be a change in the code, we just have to create a branch out of a develop and then make your changes and then create a merge request. Once you test, once basically what we have to do is we have to test it locally, and there is a build pipeline for future branch and the develop branch. So we can actually, I mean, as a developer, we do a testing on a local machine. Once that is done, then we check it in and then create a build out of a future branch. When I say future branch, this, named like this, like, I named it like HM9244. This is one of the bug, or this could be one of the new enhancement. It's like a Jira ticket. It will have all the description and everything. So I create a future branch build and give it to QA. They install this future branch. Once it tested and certified, we will create a merge request and merge it to a develop. And then Vladimir will trigger a new build, and that goes to a lab build. And that will also be tested by QA. And then we mark this ticket as done and all that. Okay. So let
So
me kind of explain.
this develop branch is for your development, correct? But if you have a couple of tickets to work on simultaneously, what you will do?
You create one branch out of two branch out of develop, um, and then you have to handle that conflicts and all that. Like always when you create a branch, just get the latest and then merge it. So let's say branch A, branch B. Branch A is like done and it's committed. Now branch B becomes like kind of kind of a mismatch. So again, we have to, get the latest code from the developer and remerge it, then start working on B. So far, I was the only guy who was working on it. So that was, I mean, Vladimir also will be making changes, but he will be working on a different branch. Mostly, sometime like completely he will be working on chat, I'll be working on voice. Sometime don't even conflict. We'll be working on a different classes altogether. But yes, that's how like any other code repository, we have to handle that conflicts and merge issues. So but yeah, the basic approach that explained to us in the beginning was like create own feature branch, work on it completely, work on it independently, and then create a official build out of feature branch, give it to QA. After certified, gets merged into develop. Um, then
It's not
from the develop.
necessarily like if you work in the in the customer lab, let's say, and you cannot directly connect from your development machine to the customer lab, you have to deploy the HVA not on your machine but in the customer environment and run it there, maybe without Visual Studio attached. So just by analyzing log files, etc. So you install the whole thing like it happens in, let's say, Kaiser or earlier in WWT labs. So not each and
Correct.
every time you actually quite infrequently you can use that. Not infrequently, but not well, in 100% cases. I would correct myself. You could run it on your machine it has to be probably tested or troubleshooted on
Right.
a customer machine. So in that case, QA may or may not be able to test it independently of you. So they should either rely on like notes saying test it at the customer side. Maybe even like
Right.
professional services people test that rather than QA.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So
Mhm.
if we cannot
But
test it in
the
our local.
normal like mechanism is what Sankar is explaining, like ideal, but it's not always happening.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, if you are comfortable with the Git command line paste, yes, you can create all your branches and everything in the command line. But Visual Studio also provides a plugin, like where you can connect to a repository, and then you can also create branches and everything through GUI, uh, like manage branches, like it will list out, you know, yeah, it will list out all the branches. So right now I'm working on this one. And if you wanted to create another branch, it's straightforward, create a new branch, you know, like, and then once you check in, like if you want to check in, you can check in, add your comments, you can do stashes. It's like a basic Git commands. And mostly people who work with Visual Studio, they started use this one. But if you are using any other like Visual Code or any other editor, you can simply go with the command line based Git functionality, So yeah. So I mean, whenever we release something, for example, we released 1.7, okay. Um, we released 1.6 or 1.8. We have to create a branch out of a develop. That code is actually released to production. And if we found some kind of a bug or anything in that, then it can be tricky. We have to create a hotfix branch out of that released code base, fix it, and then give it to the customer. And if they certify that, then we have to promote that code all the way from hotfix branch to the released branch, and then from there to develop branch. So that is something, it's, we have to remember that, because we don't want to fix it in the develop, because that code is a new code, and the customer has a different version. Then everything, if you try to build a binary out of develop branch, and if you try to give it, it may not load, it may not work. So it's better to, you know and all this built and everything, what built and everything, it's all in the there is a lab built machine. So the so what I'm saying is, like, if we create like a 10 build, all the 10 build source code is also there in the lab built machine. So it is sometime, even if we don't have a branch in the Git, we can still manage it. So uh,
Sydney.
yeah, Sydney, yeah, cdist and then archive. So yeah, so HVA installs. Okay, so here we have all the build. Now, right now we are in 2.0 release. So we have made 13 build. So the installer is located here. Now, if you wanted to find out the source code for this version, then we can go back here, and then the HVAS source, and then, sorry, I went to wrong folder. HVAS source, yeah, HVAS source and 2.0, and then the version 13. Okay, so this is the complete source code here. So now let's say if customer complains that I have an issue on a version 2.13, then we have to pull this code if possible from the Git. If not, then we have to make a copy of this code and fix it in this, and then create a binary and give it to the customer. And then once that works, somehow that needs to be put it into a main development, and then it will get released in the future release. bug is a bug, and if it found in the in the production version, we need to put it in the new version, and then it get fixed as a part of new releases. So
And sometimes,
mhm,
okay,
yeah,
sorry.
and
You
yeah,
was
and
go
then
ahead.
like yeah, so now like a 1.8 folder, if you go, you would see some kind of a notation like CA, uh, or let me go to 1.7. So we always name which build is released for general access, and you know like that. Where is it? We had something, right? 125. Yeah. So this one was released. Somehow the naming convention changed. We name it like maybe we'll have go here like. Oh, I'm in source. Sorry, not. I need to go to the install. Sorry. Yeah. The installs. If I go here, they'll have released, or every folder will be named which one is released and which one is like all that naming convention. 125 is released.
Since we are
113.
here, could you please tell us, we officially we released 1.8, and
Uh-huh.
with 2.0, it's kind of, do we have
Yeah, to the
anything marked as release? No,
we have not. We have released
because it's still
203.
alive, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Still in the development,
Develop,
officially.
yeah, develop, yeah. So whenever I think Matt complained about it in the 2.0 release, so we had to fix something in 2.03. But I think Jeff also complained something. So
Hmm.
now we address that as a part of 13.
Hmm.
So yes, yeah, it is ongoing. But once we come to a certain, documentation and stable thing, then we can name it.
The idea is to complete that, finally, that Kaiser chart
Right.
development and make it merge it to, right now it's in 1.8 HM something, that story associated with that Kaiser
Mhm.
thing, and merge it to 2.0 and mark it as a release. So whatever comes on the top of that will be like maybe,
Major
I don't
release.
know,
Yeah, that would be a, yeah,
2.1 or
maybe
whatever,
3.
3.0.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. So if you see here, this is a future branch built, and this is a develop branch built. If the future branch, the naming is going to be attached. So this is all run through the build pipeline. You can get an access to it. So if you wanted to trigger a build, I think Pranav or someone will, or Yax can give you an access to it. Now from here, we can look for HVA build. So there are multiple HVA, and this is for that hybrid one. So we have to go here, and then when you go to like a build with parameters, here all the active future branches and everything will be listed. You can pick like which branch you wanted to build it, and so on. So mostly it is going to be developed, and if I'm working on like HM9244, so it would be, yeah, this branch. Yeah. So this basically this is an automated build. It queries all the branch details and everything's from the gate, and then from here it will
You
trigger
say
the build.
force build and build,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah, force build is important. Sometimes it doesn't get the latest, so you always select force build, and then it basically sends via pipeline. It sends the request to the build machine, the Visual Studio build machine, and from there it get built. And then once build succeeds, it will copy the source and executable to this lab built machine.
Normally,
Um,
when some component is under active development, they may probably like run like nightly builds. So it's like configured the way so it's either automatically start the build when you check something in, or do it once or twice a day. But right now, Pranav set it to like manual build. So
Yeah.
if you check something in, you should not expect anything would be built for you automatically. You should go for this Jenkins start the build thing.
Right.
Mhm.
So I guess we went over 30 minutes. We can stop here.
Mhm.
Tomorrow we can, tomorrow, anyhow, we are going to shadow it. You can have your question listed. We can discuss it. Yeah. And then tomorrow we can go through the transformer completely. That is,
Mhm.
yeah. Even though I myself, do not have much insight into it, but whatever I know, whatever document I have, I can, share it. Because that's a very old product. It was a part of a call master. Um,
How much time it will take to do a installation and configuration of this HVA, Shankar?
I mean, if in an ideal machine with no issues, I wouldn't say it shouldn't take more than 30-45 minutes. 30 minutes is more than enough because the HVA installer pretty much installs everything. But due to some reason, the Windows machine, it needs a .NET Framework, a .NET Framework 4.7 and .NET Core 3.1. HVA installer does installs it, but during installation, if the Windows machine itself has some issue or some compatibility issue in installing those .NET Framework, we may run into some issues. Other than that, yes, it's straightforward. With Vladimir machine, what we are seeing is a little bit different because it has issues with the RabbitMQ installation. But yeah, most of the time it should not be more than 30 minutes in a ideal scenario.
Somehow, when you install it on like the virtual machine with Windows
Right.
Server, it
Yeah.
almost never comes to a problem. In my case, when I install it on
Pers-
Windows 10, which is not like official, normally they install it on server,
Server.
customers, I
Yeah.
mean. I frequently, let's say, experience the issue with the HVA, RabbitMQ specifically
RabbitMQ. Yeah.
installation.
So,
Yeah.
but we don't face this problem in Windows Server, is it?
And when you say configure, it all depends on what you're gonna work with. If you work with the only like option in our lab without going to Cisco Cloud or to the customer is Genesis. So for Genesis, we
Right.
have some agents configured on Genesis side. So I don't know, Sankar, will you give that configuration files for Genesis as well in that KT folder?
Yes,
So,
yes. I'll copy.
mhm,
I'll copy
mhm.
all the files. Yeah.
So you'll be able
Yeah.
to take it from there and work with the same agents Sankar did. And otherwise, you will need to go to Genesis VM and see what
Agents are configured. Yeah.
agents are configured, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, I in my config I only have few agents, but I do created some kind of 1,000 agents, 100 agents. That let me see. I will put that as well, but there
Mhm,
may be some modification here and there. But yes,
mhm,
because if you
mhm,
added a new column, that file may not work.
mhm,
For example, this has now 2,000 agents. This is a Genesis agent. So if we have this file, I'll put this file there. So
mhm,
this will have pretty much everything. So it has like 3005 and it goes on, till
mhm.
5,000. So it has all the
So
extensions. Yeah.
what columns we added here? It's from
Uh,
Volkswagen.
this is for Genesis. I think we are up to date. I think we are up to date. I think app name. Oh, maybe app name is missing. App name is missing in case of multiple T server.
Mhm,
In case of single T server, we don't need it, but we still need to have app name here. I'll
mhm.
leave it blank. leave it blank. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if I open the one which is current, that would be this one. This is the most correct format. See, it has an app name. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that, that, I mean, it is easily visible. It will throw an error saying that app name column is missing. So at that time we can go and add app name and leave it blank, comma separated, right? If you don't want to give a value. And now if you face any particular problem with the app name, that time we need to give the app name. So yeah. Yeah. And one more thing I missed it in the HVA, there is something called a license generation tool. Okay. So the source code is here. Okay. If tomorrow Chirayu asks, hey, we need HVA license is expired, we need a new license, then yes, the license source code is here.
It's
Like
you who generate the license. If he said that, or they have some centralized.
mostly it is, Laszlo and Chirayu. After Laszlo, it was Chirayu. Yeah.
So
I've
they know
never
how
seen.
to do that.
Yes, Chirayu knows it, and Yax also knows it. I explained to Yax, but in case if they wanted to know make some code changes or something like that, then yes, the source code is here, license tool. So this is another Visual Studio solution where we can open this and we can modify some changes. Right now, it is a command line application, like a console application.
So
Okay.
how you run it just with parameters, or if you
Yes.
just nobody's here, you urgently need the license and you want to do it today for yourself.
Yeah. So how you do it is like it has a complete, like a help section. So yeah. So let me kind of open it and show you quickly.
So we do not
generally
install the binary license generator.
Right. Yeah. Generally, generally we don't generate this as developers. We don't generate this. Even it's not a part of a release. We should not give it to customer as well. And this is mostly controlled by managers. So here it says, please provide the expiration date and or MAC address and the license file path. So the MAC address is needed for node-based address, like a node-based license where the license never expires. Okay. In that node only, HVA can be installed in that node and that license never expires if it is. But if they install it on any other server, that license won't work. Okay. Another one is expiration date based. The expiry date we can specify like MMDDYY. So yeah, so all the format, if you go the usage, if you go and run this way, it will kind of give us the step. It's very straightforward. Like we just need only two values: expiry date or a MAC address, and then the generated license file. Where should it go? It will always saved as a part of LIC, and then we can copy that file and send it to that customer. Most of the time, the PSO, Chirayu sends it to PSO team and PSO team gives to customer. So it goes that way. So far, there is no changes. No changes are required. Since we are now expanding to other culture, particularly like ENGP and Europe, it is possible that the license expiry date format, MMDDYY versus DDMMYY, it can create some kind of a issue. So yes, that needs to be, some new license needs to be created based on that particular date format and all that. But this always works. This tool always works in US culture. But if US state format is deployed into a ENGP or like a Switzerland, the date automatically adjusted back to DDMMYY. So no issues at all so far, but yes, I mean, if they wanted to make some more changes based on culture and things like that, we may face some issues. But yeah. Yeah, we just have to be aware that the source code is somewhere here in the part of HVA. If some changes needs to be done in the future, yes, we have to take care of it.
Is there any document to install HVA configuration with agencies?
There is a release notes. Let me see, I think that's why we need Dheeraj, but there is a release notes setup. Setup guide. Sorry, yeah, not the release notes. Oh, the setup guide. Yeah, the setup guide was captured pretty, in an old way. But yeah, it captures pretty much, you know, how to install IIS, Windows 2000 server, what issue we faced, Windows 2016, what server we faced. 2019 is not updated. I thought it is updated. Okay. 2019, we never had any issues. Yeah. But yeah, it will tell us how to install sync server, HTTPS certificate in case, you know, and yeah, all that is documented. PSO team uses this document, to install HVA. Yeah.
Can you share me the path of
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you this is this is like an informal one. It should be available in Microsoft Teams itself, I think. Right, Vladimir? I think it is somewhere in the Teams.
What? Release
The
notes?
the release note setup guide. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Go to
It
like a
should
user
be in
product.
Teams.
User
I
product
guess
documents.
try CCA team. No, CCA team, maybe.
Where do you see?
Below
Oh, right, okay.
documents, files.
Files. Yeah. Yes, here. Files, and then you will have a different projects. Camera.
That's no, I guess. Then it should be.
Yeah, this is a
That's
different one.
approach document. There is some maybe a Hammer team
Yeah.
and
Camera.
engineering or somewhere.
Yeah. I'll find out this path. Well, he knows. I can
It's
email you
easy
tomorrow.
to
Yeah.
find when you
Yeah.
browse it.
It's easy
It's
to.
a
You're right.
Hammer,
Yeah.
and it will
Hammer.
be like files, and it will be all
Right.
components under Hammer, including HVA, HIP, and there will be release notes, everything.
Right. I- yeah, it is. I rarely use this, but it is in the SharePoint, and that is a part of this team itself. So if you have access to Teams, you will be able to access that document as well. I'll get the link from Dheeraj, and then I'll email it to you tomorrow, or maybe when we shadow it tomorrow, I can kind of show you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I guess we can wrap it up here. We are like
Okay, I
well.
stop
Yeah.
recording, right?
Yeah.
And I'll publish